Trafficking in human beings is nothing less than a modern form of slavery.
Incredible leader, not just on this committee, but in our country, on ending modern slavery.
Human trafficking and involuntary servitude are essentially a form of enslavement and is thus prohibited by the 13th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. This amendment is disregarded every day by human traffickers from all around the world.
In order to discover what is being done to prevent human trafficking here in our hometown of Milan, Michigan, we spoke with our high school advisor, Mark Rodan.
One of the things that I always like to mention is, if in doubt, please, if you're a student, make an adult aware in a building. If you're an adult, make authorities aware as per state law. A lot of the concerns that are raised for human trafficking are also concerns that are raised for protective services, mainly for a fragile population. Usually that's children or adults, and in human trafficking it's both.
In order to fully grasp what Congress is doing about this horrifying situation, we spoke with Congressman Tim Walberg from the 7th District of Michigan.
We're looking at areas where in some cases you wouldn't expect it to be initially. Well, I think it continues on. We have some more human trafficking legislation that's working its way through Congress now to add to what we did back in 2014.
Our trainings have told us that human trafficking a lot of times is something as simple as bruises or something like that. That might be a hint that someone is indeed being mistreated, and they don't want them in school because they might talk about their situation, being taken from one place to another without being part of the plan or their rights being exploited.
A very well-known case that involves involuntary servitude is the United States v. Kaminsky case. In this case, the Kaminsky family allegedly worked two 60-year-old men with the IQ of a third grader for 17 hours a day. The two men were allegedly worked inhumane hours, which caused this case to fall under involuntary servitude.
Last summer in the state of Texas, an 18-wheeler was found parked in a Walmart parking lot. It contained more than 100 undocumented immigrants. Camera footage had shown cars driving up to the back of the truck and taking immigrants from them. It was reported that 9 were found dead and many more had various injuries pertaining to heat.
Michigan law enforcement records more than 1,000 cases of missing children every month.
So I was filling out my paperwork, and 2 slots over there was an RV. This one was back in a truck lot, and it didn't look typical. It was kind of beat up, had black curtains. I saw a middle-aged man walk out and knock on the door. Well, the door opens, he goes in, and I'm still filling my paperwork out. And I looked over and I saw what looked to me to be a young girl look out. And then she vanished. I feel real good about being able to put 2 people in prison that don't need to be out floating around.
Truckers Against Trafficking is a national organization that is leading the fight against human sex trafficking through extensive partnerships with the trucking industry. This approach has resulted in a significant increase in the number of reports of human trafficking, arrests, prosecutions, and most importantly, recovery of victims. According to a recent report, Michigan is the 2nd highest state to report human trafficking cases, with over 136 cases reported in the year of 2017. Polaris is a nonprofit organization that works to combat and prevent modern-day slavery and human trafficking.
Trafficking is a hidden crime. Last year, 40,000 people were helped and identified. So that's less than 1%. My name is Bradley Miles. I'm the CEO of an organization called Polaris Project, and we work on the issue of human trafficking and modern slavery.
Trying to get people to understand the fact that these indeed are being trafficked against their own wills, wishes, and desires. Whether it's for slave labor settings or whether it's for sex slave settings.
She was preyed on and sold online by pimps who took advantage of her. Desiree didn't know what Backpage.com was or the harm that would come from this website.
On December 23, 2016, 16-year-old Desiree Robinson was involved in a human trafficking incident and was found dead the next morning. The murderer, Antonio Rosale, was a 32-year-old man who connected with Desiree on a social media app.
On Christmas Eve, December 24, 2016, Desiree, my baby, was brutally murdered And now my life has changed forever.
Mrs. Ambrose's case is very hard to talk about. An unfortunate event led to an even more unfortunate outcome. Because of this, we ask Congress what they can do to help stop these disastrous crimes.
We just have to find more creative ways to ferret out these problems and get to the solutions that ultimately, as I said, give people freedom and opportunity and treat them as humans, not as criminals, but victims who've been caught by criminals.
Human trafficking is a form of modern slavery, a multi-billion-dollar criminal industry that denies freedom to 20.9 million people around the world. And no matter where you live, chances are it's happening nearby. From the girl forced into prostitution at a truck stop to a man discovered in a public bathroom, stripped of his belongings and held against his will. All trafficking victims share one crucial experience: the loss of freedom.